Lovely. Well, on that note, let's get started. Hey, everybody. We're so excited to have you here at our third annual EduCon. My name is Jules, and I work here at the Cyber Range on the SysOps team. I have my lovely coworker, Dom, here with me. He is our Linux systems engineer guru, and we're going to walk you through the basics of getting started with the Cyber Range. Now, a note. If you're already a user of the range and you're looking to explore more advanced functionality, there's a session tomorrow at 11:15 to noon called Moving Beyond the Basics, and that may better suit your needs. This is an introductory walkthrough. Also, if you're looking for a more in-depth exploration of our new Cloud CTF environment, there's a session with Greg tomorrow for that at 3:15. So let's start rolling in. For today's agenda, I'm going to introduce the range and some of its domains that are available to you. We are going to demo the exercise area, creating courses, inviting users, exploring the user view, accessing and managing exercises, deleting resources, and removing users. And as Dom just said, we're going to have a Q&A session, time permitting. Feel free to post questions in Whova's Q&A or in the chat. So a little bit about our background. You've probably heard the spiel, but I'll go quickly through it again. The VA CyberRange was awarded the grant to help promote cyber security education in Virginia in 2016. Since then, we've been growing, biggering, bettering, and expanding functionality. We came to see that the demand for our platform was greater than just our Virginia teachers, and about a year ago, we released our US CyberRange to reach other populations. I seem to be really excited about everything, which is not surprising if you know me. We're also really excited to be releasing our brand new integrated cloud CTF platform for Capture the Flag cybersecurity competitions. So that's a little bit about our growth over the past couple of years. 4 domains to speak of right now that are part of both the VA and the US Cyber Range. We have our Courseware repository, and that is our content management system with access to all sorts of course materials that can help you as an educator. It has syllabi, lesson plans, presentation slides, homework exercises, exams, modules, workshops, etc. We have our knowledge base, our KB, and that has documents and short videos to walk you and your students through range functionality and help you troubleshoot. We have our new CTF platform, which again, Greg will go into in depth tomorrow at 3:15. And we have our exercise area. And that is the place where your students can actually get their hands on experience with the cybersecurity concepts that you are teaching. And when we talk about exercise environments in the range, we're talking about 1 or more virtual machines in a subnet with networking capabilities. So at this point, let me hop on into the range. This is our homepage, www.VirginiaCyberRange.org. And if this is your first time using the range, what you will need to do first is sign up. So this lovely sign up button. This is for an account request, and it'll ask you if you are a cybersecurity or related educator in the state of Virginia. And again, that's through our grant for the Virginia Cyber Range. If the answer is yes, you get an instructor sign-up view. You fill in name, your institutional email address, your job title, your school. I'd suggest leaving this clicked for our juicy newsletter. Promise you're not a robot, and confirm. In the case that you are not a cybersecurity educator in Virginia, you would click no, and this will bring you to a link for the US Cyber Range account request. So we will get back to that later on, but that would be your first step as a new user of the range. A next place which would be good for just starting out would be to check out our knowledge base. So from the home page, if you scroll down to the bottom, under resources, there is knowledge base. A couple resources that would be great for first starting out is frequently asked questions and our getting started section. If you come into getting started and you come down to students, there's a student quick start guide. This might be really valuable to give this link to your students so that they have more autonomy in getting their own accounts registrations started up. So that might be a good place to go. If you have questions, issues, concerns, and you need support, you can contact support at support@VirginiaCyberRange.net. And as the instructor, if you are in the range and you do a support ticket, that will go to our help desk. From a student view, if they contact support, that will first be sent to you as the course administrator. And then if you need further support from us, you can forward that on to our help desk. That's a little bit about support. Let me go back to the homepage. Another great resource also at the bottom of the homepage is weekly workshops. And this is a repo of some past weekly workshops that Dr. Raymond, has put on to help teach the teachers. And it covers a bunch of cybersecurity topics, anything from networking, authentication. It walks through some of the different modules of a very popular intro to cybersecurity course we have, Cyber Basics. And you can look through here, and these are all available to watch under an hour workshops. So that is our weekly workshops. Let's jump over to Courseware. So our Courseware repository, as I said, it has a bunch of resources for you guys as teachers. And to navigate around, you can scroll to the bottom, you can do the next clickage. Or if you have a particular topic that you're interested in teaching, let's say I want to teach pen testing. I can do a general search and it'll show me lessons, modules, exercises, whatever about penetration testing. If I want to do more of an advanced search, say I am looking for community college, and let's say I only want lessons, community college lessons, beginner, about pen testing, then I can scope it down that way. And also you guys as teachers, you probably have much greater concept about this stuff than me, but you can also search by KSAs and by KUs, which is a lovely feature as well. So let me clear out this search and just show you how you can scope a little deeper in. So say I'm interested in the Cyber Basics course, which again is a popular course for intro to cybersecurity. I can get into my course. And in Courseware, you'll see the learning objectives, instructions to faculty, etc., the different modules that are included, the syllabi, and you might notice here it says log in to download materials. I will log in a moment and talk about that. But if you want to go deeper, you can go into a single module. It shows the exercises and the labs, which are part of each module. And again, it also has the KSAs addressed and the KUs. But if I want to go into this particular laboratory exercise, all right, and here are the files. So let me log in, talk about that for 1 second, then I'll come back to Courseware. So after you have been vetted by in-house, when you do your account request saying, hey, I want to join VirginiaCyberRange and I'm a cybersecurity educator, we will double check to make sure you are a cybersecurity educator at a public institution in Virginia to be within our grant. You will get an invitation email, and that will give you a link to do the first association of your user account with an OpenID provider. So we offer authentication with Google, Facebook, and Azure. When I go to log in, the first time I will associate it with one of the three. And subsequently, you will continue to use that same OpenID provider every time you log in. Now, this might be something you may need to troubleshoot with students throughout the year because they might feel like they're having a hard time logging in, but they may have forgotten which provider they used the first time. So I'm going to log in with Google. I'm going to log in under my instructor email. And now that I'm authenticated, you can see that I now have access to download. So I'm just going to download this file. And when I open it up, you see that it is an editable doc. And our Courseware falls under a Creative Commons license, which means that you can edit it, modify, that's the same thing, change it. You can do all those things. And as long as you're not using it for, don't try to make money off our courseware. It's not cool and it's not legal, but you can use it within your own classroom. All right. So at this point, let me jump into the exercise area. And again, this is from the homepage. I'm now logged in. I'm going into the exercise area. So the initial view you're going to see pop up will be slightly different than a new account because I already have a course. But with a new account, you would not have any courses underneath this course block. Your first step would be to request a new course. And again, this will be something that is vetted. Ha ha! I am not plugged in.
Says Jules is trying to get her power adapter.
All right. Okay. Now I'm plugged in. I hope so. Yes. All right. So course creation. Yes. You would request a new course. When I click that lovely plus button, gives you the option to type in, well, it's a required field, so I guess it's not the option. You will title your course, give a description of your course. The third clump down says, tell us how this course relates to cybersecurity. And again, at the VirginiaCyberRange, this is for cybersecurity educators in Virginia. So it's the justification that yes, this is indeed a cybersecurity or cybersecurity related course. So then you would add the school, which you're located at. You have the choice of an anticipated start and an anticipated expiration date for the course, which allows you to scope the visibility of your course to your users. And then there is an advanced option, which lets you tailor the invitation email, which is sent out to your students, to your users. You would press confirm, and then your course would go into a pending state, and that would be vetted by our team to, again, ensure that it's a cybersecurity related course. And once your course was accepted, you would receive an email, and your course would then look like this Getting Started with the Range course. So something I wanted to make sure to point out to you, when I was on the home page and I had to scroll down to the bottom for KB and had to get to support off of the KB page, when you are logged into the exercise area, if you click this question mark, you have links to KB from here. You also can put in a support ticket right here. So now that I have my course approved, Getting Started with the Range, let me go in. And again, if this was a fresh course, you would not have any exercise environments populated here. It would be empty. We had this prepped ahead of time, so it's filled. But once you are within your course, you have the options to add an exercise environment and add your users. So in terms of adding an exercise environment, which again, we define as one or more virtual machines in a subnet with networking capabilities, you would click on the Add Exercise Environment, and then you get a drop down of all the environments that are available to you. So there are a number of different environments you can choose from, different operating systems. We have different Linux distros. We have Kali, CentOS. We have some different Ubuntus. We have Windows virtual machines. We have some multi-VMs. And again, I keep talking about it, but Cyber Basics is one of our very popular ones, and that has Kali and DVWA and Samba and an FTP server, etc. So, and again, if you want more information about each of these courses, that can be found in Courseware. So you would choose one. And on this level, on the exercise environment level, you also have these scopings of time. So for example, if you wanted the first couple weeks of your course to go over Brigante, you could set that to only be open for a few weeks. If you had an exam that you only wanted to be open for a 3-hour period, you could use an exercise environment to only have that timeout. So, and in this, as the instructor view, you have a link that takes you back over to Courseware. So that way you could get more information about this particular environment. I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to toss it over to my buddy Dom, and he's going to dig in a little bit deeper into this particular exercise environment, Virgante, and about adding users.
Thank you, Jules. And as a reminder, we're going to try to answer your questions, whether through the chat during this presentation or perhaps afterwards. There's a session Q&A question, so if we do not get to your question during the session, please post it under the in Whova app under the session Q&A. Now, as Jules has mentioned, I've been with the range for a fairly short amount of time, so what we can guarantee is the fact that I'm going to fumble more than once. And this presentation certainly has led me to learn more about the front end of the house than I've had the opportunity in a long time. So let's talk about course invites. So I'm going to log in to our exercise area with an instructor account. And let's see, this is this one. I'm going to select exercises. And right now, as we mentioned before, we just have one course. So we're going to select our course. So what do we do next? Jules already went through the task of setting up an exercise environment. Now that we have at least one exercise environment, we can go ahead and add more users. What you didn't see when she was setting up this course is that the first time you actually go through the account login, you will see a lot of very helpful prompts that will show you which, that will suggest which functions you should access next. At any time, if you are not sure what a given function does, simply hover your mouse over an icon and you will see a brief description. So let's manage course users. We're going to add at least one user here. Now, what you may see here is the list of the users currently enrolled in this course. At the range, we have 3 primary user roles. We have the instructor, TA, and student. Instructor, and this is to mimic a real life classroom where the instructor has full access over the course, selection of exercises, TAs, and students. TAs, their role is limited to helping the instructor. So TAs can access exercises for individual students, but they may not remove students, they may not remove exercises. And finally, we have students who have access only to their particular exercise instance. So to add users, we have a friendly option here, invite a user to this course. Now, there's 2 main ways to invite a user to this course. One is to do it individually, one by one. So I can enter that information here, and the only information necessary at this point is their full name and their email address. Be sure to select their appropriate role. By default, we have a student, but you may want to invite your teaching assistants first. As soon as we had confirmed here, our system was going to send them an invite following the pattern that you saw during the course creation. And each student will have a unique link that they can click on to access and to register their account. Now, this works great if you have a handful of students, or if you want to be able to add them throughout the course of your course. Now, this may not work very well if you have, say, 20, 30, or 50 students. So for that, we can select, we're going to cancel here real quick just to make sure. We can select invite multiple users. I'll show you how to do a CSV file. So we provide a sample CSV template, which essentially has 3 columns: full name, email address, and the role. I've used this template to add a single user. I'm not going to show you how to manage that in the CSV, but I'm going to try to show you what happens when I upload the completed CSV. So I'm going to click next here, and it shows me the users that were in the template, their name and their email address. Here I have the last chance before I click OK, import, to adjust their role. I'm going to keep this Dom the student as a student. Obviously, this is just, we only see here a single user, but you can import many, many users this way. So we're going to hit import. And at this point, like I said, our system is taking care of sending the invites for each and individual person. And what do we have here? So we have a new user that showed up on our list. By the way, this list can be sorted and filtered multiple different ways. But what we can see is that the student account is pending since today. There is no email associated with it yet. And there is no information as to which authentication provider they've used. So here in the meta, I'm going to show you how that email looks like. If at any point you feel that the student, for example, they lost the invitation email, or they can't find it anywhere, you can come back to this interface and verify that, yes, indeed, they've never logged in. I can click this little icon here and select re-invite, or say the student dropped the course, and I can select delete. So at this point, I'm going to log out as an instructor, go to my email provider, and I'm going to hit reload. And sure enough, we have getting started with the range, invitation from VirginiaCyberRange email address. Again, all the fields here are populated from the pattern that you saw during the course creation. Each user gets a unique link. So if they share it between 2 students, only the first student that will use it will get invited to the course. When I click this link, I'm asked which authentication provider should I use. I'm going to select Google. And here I'm going to pick my student account. It takes just a second as the account gets prepared. And what you're going to see is interface very similar to what Jules was showing you, because it is essentially the same interface with an exception of additional features, administrative features, such as adding and removing exercises or students, is not available to the students. So let's navigate to my course, getting started with the range, and we're going to select my environment, Brigante. When I navigate to Brigante, I see a brief description. I'm going to click Start. When you click Start, our system provisions a new Amazon EC2 instance in the cloud using our carefully prepared image, and that instance will be set in our virtual private cloud shared with your other exercises. The amount of time that it takes for this exercise to start depends on the image. Some of our smallest ones take about a minute, others take up to 15 minutes. In the previous interface, as an instructor, you have ability to start the exercises for all of your students to help them avoid this wait time. Now, the reason why we picked Brigante to show you today is there are a couple reasons. One is it's one of our smaller exercises. As you can see, this took very little amount of time. Two, this is a self-paced exercise, self-guided tour of security, basics of security in the Linux world. Now, the students can, once their exercise is started, they can come here and click join. Also, you can see the dates when the exercise becomes available and when does it end. So as Jules mentioned, not all of your exercise environments may need to be accessible at the same time. So this interface will let them know when, at what date a given environment would be available. So what happens next? Our system provides you, opens up a new tab in your web browser and creates a remote connection to a CentOS 7 CentOS 7 system running in an EC2 instance on Amazon. This is a full-blown operating system running CentOS 7 with an XFCE desktop. And as most of our environments, student accounts have full access to the system. They have ability to perform sudo operations and become root. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility, and these students can do whatever they any other super user would be able to do on the system. So they can install packages, they can query them, they can remove packages, they can modify files, they can change pretty much anything. So as I mentioned, Brigante is our system designed to provide students with a self-guided tour of security. So this brief description talks about the first steps. Simply open up a web browser and navigate to this link. So what we're going to do, we're going to select a web browser. It may take a split second to start. And by the way, there is other applications already pre-installed on the system. And as I've mentioned, users are able to install additional ones. So we're going to navigate to Brigante example.com. Here's an interesting part about this exercise is the fact that it's composed of more than one virtual machine. If we come back here and run ifconfig command, you can see that this system is running on an IP 10.1.120.69. But if I type host example.com, it's a very different host. In fact, what's happening here is this exercise environment provisions two virtual machines, one running CentOS with this desktop to which the student logs in, and another virtual machine running multiple Docker containers. One of them, for example, running this website, the other one running SSH service to which the users can log in. So back to our webpage, we can see a basic introduction to the Brigante exercise, which is split into multiple levels. There's 25 to 26 levels, and they begin with very simple ones, such as logging through SSH. So let's see. We can click on level 0, and we're being asked to use the SSH connection as user Brigante 0 and connect to brigante.example.com and supply password Brigante 0. Once logged in, go to level 1 page to find out how to be level 1. As we can see, this is a very gentle approach. The password for the next level is stored in the README file. So if I look at the files here, we have a README, and we have a password for the next level. So this becomes, with each progressing level, this becomes more and more difficult. Now, since we're in the web browser, let's talk about what can the users do. This particular virtual machine runs in our virtual private cloud and does not have direct access to the internet. So the users cannot just browse or access resources out on the bigger network. However, to aid with course materials and course with legitimate use, we do have a web proxy. So web requests to resources such as google.com or let's say centos.org will be granted. However, if a user decides to go to spend time in your classroom, going on Facebook, well, unfortunately, we deny that. So this way you can be rest assured that the students should not have access to the content that they should not be accessing during this exercise. Now, again, this is a full-blown operating system. The users can, if they wish, and I'm trying to become a pseudo user in a container running on a different system. So I wonder if it doesn't work. So at this point, if I want, I can install any packages. And of course, it's going to take a little bit longer because I'm doing this during the live demo. So instead of doing this, let's go back real quick to the interface that we came from. Here, users, once they're done, they can click stop. What this does, what happens is this function will stop the EC2 instance and it will save the current state of that system. If a user decides to come back later the following day, they can come in and all of their settings, all of their changes will be back here. So we're going to close this browser real quick. And we're going to log in as our instructor. Now, if I navigate to our exercise view as an instructor, I can see that my student, Dom, has accessed, has logged in 6 minutes ago, or has spent 6 minutes on this date. And I can either stop their exercise, or say if they have a problem or a question, they are concerned how to do a certain task, but they're not sure how to accomplish it. A TA or instructor can come to this interface, click join. This will disconnect the student from their instance, and this instructor then can log in, see exactly what the student was seeing, adjust any content, and log out. Now, at the end of the course, or throughout the course, you still have access to all of the features that we've showed you before. At any time, you can add additional users. You can add additional exercises. You are limited to only 3 simultaneous environments, but if, say, the beginning of the semester, your Brigante works, and you want to use Kali Linux towards the end of the exercise, you can come here and either remove, if you are up to your limit of 3 exercise environments, you can delete this exercise and start it and create a new one. Same thing with your users. You can come in here, the students that dropped out, you can remove them, you can invite new ones. So since we're getting close on our time, the last thing I'm going to show you is a third way of, or rather a second approach to inviting users. So if you happen to be in a situation where you don't know your students' email addresses yet, but you are preparing your material, you can come into the users tab, and we have a function called manage student invitation code for this course. If I click on this, and I'm going to actually remove this, this is how this interface will look the first time you access it. You can create an invitation code. This code is unique to your course. Once you create this invitation code, you can share this link, which is different on US CyberRange side, you can share this link along with this code, and we'll have to put this or a different code in the chat after the session. And you can send this or share it with your other course materials. This code is valid until either A, this time is reached, or B, you click this delete button. So say you leave this this registration open for a week, then you come in here, you're done with registration, you click delete. At this point, nobody new can use the invitation code to register to your course. However, say you made a mistake, there are still some students that joined at the later on, you can come in and come back here and create an invitation code again. Now, this is going to be a very different code. The previous one will not work, but the new one will. So at this point, if anybody has questions, we still have a few minutes to spare before the next session. I am going to put this code in the...
Okay, cool. I was just about to post it, but I was about to post the old one, so yay.
Exactly. So
Got it.
now we know that it wouldn't work. So I will post this code along with the link. I'll put it on the Hova chat, and I will also post it in the Zoom chat. Or maybe Jules can do that while I'm fumbling through the interface. Do we have any questions in person that anybody would like to ask? I see there's some in the chat. Lee has been gracious enough to lend us a hand answering those. Lee is much more familiar with the range than we are, so we're going to use him as a resource. And I see it's about course registrations. If anybody else has questions, please either post them to the chat right now. After the session, if you do happen to think of something, come back and click on the session Q&A. And we can also use the Zoom feature. If anybody would like to ask a person using their microphone, please use the raise your hand in the Zoom chat, and we'll unmute you and let you talk to us. And again, Jules also mentioned, yes, Lee has a much more advanced or much more advanced session on the CyberRange. He will talk more about snapshotting and customizing the images. His session is in the morning, I believe.
11:15 to noon tomorrow.
11:15 till noon. Yes.
The subject matter is, I posted my own queue and answered it. It is targeting people who are comfortable working with servers and comfortable modifying environments, because obviously our team is relatively small considering the number of customers we have. And just like teachers are told that they should embrace that some of their students are smarter than they are, well, we don't assume that we know everything about security ourselves. So it's kind of designed to give people who understand what they're doing the ability to customize their environments without necessarily getting us involved. And it's going to cover some of the common things that people need to know when they're making an exercise environment in the range or trying to make heavy modifications to existing images, if they want to, and what the other features would be supported. Like if somebody wanted to take the CentOS image that we have, but they want it to be through a SSH interface instead of an RDP interface, because that's what they want their students to experience. How can you go about doing something like that? So it's geared, it's definitely geared at the people who are very comfortable, that would be very comfortable making virtual machines. So that's when it says going beyond the basics, it literally means this is people who are comfortable installing Linux or Windows and modifying the system comfortably.
And looks like we have some new
Okay,
students.
you're coming into
Okay.
play.
That's great. As you can see,
Yes.
now in this interface, we can see that, for example, Team DOM use Google for the provider. And since we're starting to see users, we're going to close this window, so we're not going to expose.
Right. Good call.
Can you show the login page, Jules, that Jules just posted?
The link that I just posted, sure.
Yeah, show somebody how to use that invite code.
All right, let me share. Yeah, mine. I'm taking it, Dom. All right, so here is the registration link. Here is where you would enter your invitation code, which I need to go back into. There we go. You would paste it in there and sign in with, and again, this is the first time.
Before you go any further there, I just wanted to note, like she copied and pasted the invitation code in. So when the last character of the invitation code is put in, it automatically does the lookup to see where your course is. So you didn't see the invitation code entered there because it just flashed in real quick and then jumped right to the next step.
Whoops, I drink coffee, my speed's fast. So yes, and then again, whatever OpenID provider you associate your account with, you need to continue using that. So that's how you do your self-registration through a code.
So if you don't have a link, there's the way that you get a student into the range generally requires that they have to go to a specified link. It's either sent by an email or you give them the invitation code along with that link. You can't, there's really no other way that we can invite a student unless we have like their email address to send them a link or you hand them the link to get to the web page. We otherwise don't know how to tell what student is supposed to be going to what course.
And Lee, with the last question, what if you already have an account? I believe.
I think I need context on that one.
I imagine this is if somebody already is a student in the range.
If you go to that link, it should still ask you to plug in the code.
Because it is an invitation link for a course. You should still go to the registration link.
Yes.
If you go to the registration link, you can, the system is smart enough, like many modern learning management systems, you can be an instructor in one course while being a student in another. So if you have an account with the range and you go to the link that Jules has posted, you can still join that other course as a student by going to that link and then providing the registration code that she posted.
Looks like we're really running out of time here. I just want to thank you all for joining us for an intro to the CyberRange. I hope you have fun playing with it on your own. I mean, Brigante is fun for everyone, but also as an educational tool for your students. So we'll see you at some of the other sessions.
Thank you again, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.